My mic is muted. Okay. We're going to be listening to the Trump speech that's coming on right now. That's why we're live. Let's go ahead and transition. Okay, wait. They're still just chattering. So essentially, we're going to be listening to Trump's speech right now. He's going to be talking about the Supreme Court's decision on the tariff policy. He said that he has a backup plan. Let's go ahead and have a listen to that. Everyone is set and ready to go. So let's transition over. Okay.
So cute.
Trump's always later than Tanner. That's funny.
My arm is getting tired.
Yeah, I don't know what those closed captions were.
Okay, can you bring my mic up? I'll give one more mic check. I'm gonna give you guys one more mic check. Microphone check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check. You guys good?
Mic check. Okay, I'm gonna mute this for now until we actually see the main man. But backup plan is to rob Tanner's investing account to pay back the deficit. They'd have a long way to go for that. This is going to be a mess. Yeah, I mean, it definitely can be. There's now, what was the reported amount? Roughly 180 or 150 billion dollars to potentially repay. I think that this is going to be a lot longer of a situation than people are giving it credit for. Okay. Nothing just yet, but we are ready here. Okay. Iran's the backup plan? No. You guys are so funny. Maybe Mr. Beast can help pay off the deficit. Okay, after this, by the way, so we're going to have a conversation, or we're going to listen to this, give a summary of potentially what Trump ended up talking about. Actually, let me just go ahead and switch this over to a different monitor. It'd be easier for me to do this. That way I can take notes. Okay. Okay, so while people are still getting seated and Trump's getting ready here, we're going to listen to this. After this, I'm going to give a summary. We're going to go through potential benefits, potential concerns with different companies, Google, Amazon, names like SoFi, stuff like this, and then just go through the general news of the day, the markets. But it is going to be a shorter day than usual. I also want to highlight that next week, maybe I should say this later, next week there probably is not going to be a public live stream, any midday live streams. I'm going to focus on more actual produced videos and try to do that, get about a video out a day or a video out every other day. For special occasions, maybe we can go live, but yeah. We'll talk about it later. I also have some pretty other amazing news as well. But we can talk about the good and the bad later on. Let's have a listen. Nothing just yet. The sweet silence of bated breath on what could possibly be Trump's backup plan. Okay. I just hope it's not going to be like 15 minutes out. A new, I just saw this come across my X feed. A brand new, cheaper version of the Cybertruck, now available for purchase. In case you were worried about your tariffed products here. Also, we need to talk about the chances of rate cuts and how much that just changed on this news. Holy. If there's no more potential tariff inflation on the year, then the main concern might actually come down to it just being the labor market. The chances of rate cuts are rising here. In the meantime, talk about things that bring you joy these days. You guys. You guys following companies. I've been using Base 44 ever since we started looking into Wix. And oh my gosh, I think there might be an opportunity here. This company is cheap. Sleep scores. Yeah, I didn't even check my sleep score. How did I not? I can't imagine it was good. It was not a great sleep. 86. Said my sleep efficiency was only 87%. Which company? WIX, Wix, like the old website builder that many people think are going to be destroyed by artificial intelligence, actually has one of the best and fastest growing vibe coding platforms called Base 44. They're growing faster than most of the other platforms, and it's going to become a meaningful percentage of their overall revenue. I get ads all day for Base 44. Well, I'm a paying customer now. Check BM&R's sleep score. Okay. Yeah, BM&R has been asleep for a while. It's got a perfect sleep score. Freaking comatose. Yeah, check BM&R's pulse. I am really interested in this Trump stream, though. I don't know if he's going to come out extremely pissed. I can't imagine he's excited. So I'm waiting to hear what the heck he's going to say. Okay. Are we expecting a Liberation Day type? I can't even. Oh man, I haven't even thought about the idea of him doing a whole new strategy that once again ends up spooking markets. I think after a day like today and it's getting shut down by the Supreme Court, I don't think that there's going to be some crazy market reaction, but we can keep an eye on that for sure. Just in case. I don't even think there's really much speculation on what a backup plan could even possibly be. Okay. Let's get ready.
Are you on the phone with them?
Yeah, but I'll crawl back there.
Anything? Anything? Bueller? What are you guys looking to buy after this potential announcement? Are there specific names that call out to you, knowing that there won't be tariff concerns? Are we looking at Amazon and Walmart's and Shopify's today? Retailers? We'll talk about SoFi. SoFi's getting obliterated right now, but honestly, I don't think there's too much that to actually fear. I'm buying SoFi. Yeah, I know. Okay, wait, let's go. Nebius, UPS. UPS might be a sneaky good name based on this news. What's UPS doing on a day like today? Up 0.4%. It's not as much of a reaction as I would have thought, but they did have a crazy spike at 10 o'clock based on the tariff news. Wow. They went from essentially 100, well, I guess it's not that big, 114 to 117. I guess it's not terribly big, but looks big on the candles.
This will be live back there.
Disco, is there gonna be disco? Like,
Also, if I knew that they were going to be 15 minutes late, I would have just had my regular live stream time at 1 o'clock. I didn't even have to go 15 minutes early. I went 15 minutes early so then they could be 15 minutes late. You know, car manufacturers. Ooh. Tanner, in all honesty, do you feel like there will be more of a dip for SoFi? Okay, wait. I think they're just doing a color balance. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a possibility that companies can keep falling. I wouldn't get anchored to how high they are before. What's happening?
What number do you might get? What do we got?
Like 4,000? 4,200? 41?
41.
You would think that the White House would have a better white card than that. That white card has been around since Jimmy Carter or something like this. Like look at it. Dude, mine looks better than theirs. Come on. It's like $5 on Amazon. The white card is actually orange IRL. I don't believe you. Oh, actually, I think I see your joke. Okay. That's funny. That was funny. Okay. They're doing camera checks 15 minutes after they're supposed to be live. The government paid $1,000 for that white card. Probably. That card was built by Raytheon. They did a bid to get that kind of camera equipment right there. It's bulletproof. Yeah. Over-engineered. But somehow also falling apart. What's SoFi at right now? You guys are scaring me in the chat. $18.80 down another 2.6%. The scariest part is it can get worse from here. Google up 4% on the day right now. Why is SoFi falling on tariffs? I know. I think it's less on tariff concerns. It was down before 10 o'clock. You know, it didn't really find a big sell-off based on this tariff news. It's just generally banks are getting hit, you know. Silver is running $75 an ounce, roughly. Gold also up 1.5%. Trump is eyeing new tariff tools after court setback. Donald Trump is preparing to deploy alternative trade powers after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down his broad tariff authority. Options include using Section 301 to target countries over unfair trade practices previously used against China, and Section 122, which allows a temporary across-the-board tariff of up to 15%. The administration has been planning contingencies for months and may force new tariffs on countries without trade deals. His main legal tool is now gone. Trump has still has multiple, though more limited paths to reimpose tariffs. I mean, is there a possibility that we do see, if there's a blanket 15% tariff that ends up getting pushed across the board, that we do see a smaller version of a Liberation Day? A little just, and Liberation Day is always too scary, but I just mean like a broad market shock versus what could be said during this call? Absolutely. That was the New York Times, by the way. Okay, they're all very silent right now. I'm actually so surprised that they're still playing with the lights, the coloring, and everything. You guys are 17 minutes late, and they're like flicking the lights on. Yeah, that's honestly, Sean, I was thinking the exact same thing. How are you changing the lights after you just did a white balance check? You're gonna have to do it again. Gosh. Google is discussing a spin-off of its own tensor processing unit chip effort into a standalone unit as it tries to widen adoption beyond its own cloud, while also using its balance sheet to finance more third-party data center partnerships to compete against NVIDIA, said the Wall Street Journal. The report says Google is in talks to invest more than $100 million in NeoCloud FluidStack at a $7.5 billion valuation, and has backed projects tied to HUD 8, Cipher Mining, and TeraWulf to drive TPU demand, though Google says it has no plans to restructure the TPU team. Very, very interesting from Google here. Stock, like I said, up 4% on the day, 3.7. Okay, it's official. Does it NVIDIA have more potential competitors? Whoa.
I don't know.
The cameraman's just bored. He's just bored. Trump will only make things worse. I don't think that I don't think that he's only going to make things worse. Just it always does suck, and people get nervous whenever the original plan ends up getting shut down. The plan B is usually not as clean of a route as plan A, considering if they thought that plan B was better, they would have went with that originally. You know? So I'm just worried about how the market is going to react here, but I'm a long-term investor. I don't have anything that's going to be like, you know, tied to a specific date that I'm going to end up losing money on. Um, 3-2 Canada. That's funny. I've had so many people reach out to me. They're like, "Are you following the game?" I'm like, I didn't even know there was a game. I'm sorry. But good luck to Canada on their game versus whoever they're they're playing against in whatever sport they're doing. What was the joke?
That's why we're waiting. I know what it is.
Supreme Court made it worse. The tariffs were paying down debt every month that the other countries benefited from. Yeah, I'm not. No way, someone farted. A bunch of you guys assume someone farted. Yeah, I'm not going to make any statement on whether or not the tariff policies were good or bad. I'm just wondering, how do we benefit going forward? Yeah, not much paying down debt, to be fair. Yeah. Kaz from Open Door is live in 20 minutes. For what? What are they covering? Your time was yesterday, Kaz. I for real wish I just went live at 1. Stock Twits interview. Wow. I don't care about that. Yeah, multiple people I'm seeing reporting on Trump is planning to invoke new across-the-board tariffs. I'm seeing multiple reports on this. Like, is he finishing up another interview before you just jump in here?
Kevin, how much time left?
Tanner clickbaited us. Dude, I'm getting clickbaited by the U.S. government right now. I'm just passing along the message. All along, this was a GIF. It's just replaying the same thing. It's not even remotely live. You act like any government broadcast is on time. I agree with you. You know, I think I did expect some delays. I just thought like 15 minutes was going to be a good timeline.
There's only one of them.
There is only one. You're right.
I want my money back. I paid to watch this. I don't know who you're paying, brother, but this is a free show. New 15%. Yeah, dude, I wonder how the market is going to take if he says that they're imposing a 15% broad-based tariff again through Section 122 or whatever the exact one was. I think that was it. I don't think the markets will be too pleased to hear that. Okay. For real, fire this dude. Like, thousands and thousands and thousands of people are watching this broadcast. This guy's going, yeah, make sure you start here. Cut this part out. Maybe that means that they know it's going to happen right now, though. Maybe that was the sign to the editors. Tanner on Discord wants 100K in trading account to follow his trades. That's not me. You're being scammed. There are some people on the Discord that pretend to be me, but make sure that they're in the same mutual account and that you know, the username is specifically Tanner M, or else it's not me. Not with 3 N's, not with M, not with an M in there, not with an ER. You're being scammed, brother. I don't have any copy trade, anything. I don't want your email. No way. I signed up to this too. Okay, guys, come on. Come on. Yeah, every version of AIM, you got to look really close. Okay. I thought that cutout thing from the cameraman was a sign of potentially seeing life here soon, but maybe we have another minute to go. Okay, after this, obviously we're going to be talking about Google and Amazon, some of these names, but there's also some pretty interesting stories regarding SoFi as well. Nothing that would bring the stock down an additional 2%. So if you guys want to know why it's down, I would just simply point you to the broader names in banking that are down right now. But, you know, they were down in the morning before the tariff news. So this is not really Trump-related trades. Okay. Tanner, I met you briefly while in the bathroom for a MITS meetup. Very awkward, but good memory. If you were the guy that I shoulder checked while walking through the doorway, I apologize. But yeah, I've never felt like more of a celebrity than whenever I was there. Like even whenever I was going pee, people were like, "Tanner, can I shake your hand?" How about you wait? But nice to meet you. Yeah, it's a core memory. I didn't mean to shoulder check him. I was talking to someone while walking backwards, and then I turned around and he was right there, and we collided. Time slowed down. A true friendship was made. Okay. I feel like all this silence that they might have heard that someone, I mean, specifically Trump, was coming soon. Slow-mo shoulder check, yeah. Tanner called it poor. It's so funny hearing everyone's perspective of how you guys think yeah, he was probably being a real ass to him. No. Tanner flashed me his portfolio and said, "Never talk to me again." You know what? There actually was a bunch of people who kept like printed out performances of their portfolio, and then there was even a guy, I forget his name. Gee, he had his portfolio, and then beside them he put like Chris Patel, Amit, Tanner, Steve, and was all the names of the people who had, convinced him or had the due diligence on those names. And I was like, this is not a good thing to bring here. This is like a hit list of like who to blame if these names go wrong. Like, oh yeah, this was Tanner's fault. I'm going to go after him. Do not buy what I'm buying. I'm purely talking about what I personally like to invest in. We'll talk about that after this live stream, which might be at 3 o'clock. Who knows? We're only 31 minutes late now, which might mean that we're almost on time here. We'll see. Tanner, you're on my NVIDIA list. Yeah. I'm certainly on a lot of people's SoFi list, that's for sure, and it's not doing so well. Well, this will be about Iran. That's not what I heard. I specifically said it was a tariff press briefing. Yeah, it even says it in the title here. Trump holds a news conference after the Supreme Court rules against global tariffs.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Vicent's also going to be speaking later today. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Give me the actual time on that, because if possible, I might also be live for that. Um, 4 p.m. Thank you. Thank you. Do we have there's no earnings tonight, I don't think. H&E Equipment Services is the only company reporting earnings tonight of any company that's over $1 billion in market cap. Okay, for next week, what do we have? Hims, Kratos, Domino's, Home Depot, Mercado Libre, Axon, NVIDIA, Salesforce, Circle. Those are going to be some good ones. We'll be live. 1,000% we're going to be live for NVIDIA. I'm going to try to be live for the other ones if possible. Maybe listen to Mercado Libre's call. Or even Axon. Axon's so interesting to follow. Markets are going down right now. The triple Qs are up 0.5%. The SPY is up 0.3%. People said that SoFi hit a new low just now. Yes, it did. $18.65. Oh my gosh. What's up with CoreWeave? Please tell me CoreWeave's coming down. I'd love to get some shares in CoreWeave. Down 10%. $87 a share. Am I greedy enough to wait? Yes. Even Wix is down $66. Man, they're all being so quiet. Figma's at $26. Okay. Here we go. Okay, it's official. Get ready.
Wow, got a lot of people. That's a new record. We set a record every time. Well, thank you very much for being here. the Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed, for not having the courage to do what's right for our country. I'd like to thank and congratulate Justices Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh for their strength and wisdom and love of our country, which is right now very proud of those justices. When you read the dissenting opinions, there's no way that anyone can argue against them. There's no way. Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic. They're so happy. And they're dancing in the streets, but they won't be dancing for long. That I can assure you. The Democrats on the court are thrilled, but they will automatically vote no. They're an automatic no, just like in Congress. They're an automatic no. They're against anything that makes America strong, healthy, and great again. They also are a, frankly, disgrace to our nation, those justices. They're an automatic no, no matter how good a case you have. It's a no. You can't knock their loyalty. It's one thing you can do with some of our people. Others think they're being politically correct, which has happened before far too often with certain members of this court. And it's happened so often with this court. What a shame. Having to do with voting in particular. When in fact, they're just being fools and lapdogs for the rhinos and the radical left Democrats, and not that this should have anything at all to do with it. They're very unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution. It's my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would ever think. It's a small movement. I won by millions of votes. We won in a landslide. With all the cheating that went on, there was a lot of it. We still won in a landslide. Too big to rig. But these people are obnoxious, ignorant, and loud. They're very loud. And I think certain justices are afraid of that. They don't want to do the right thing. They're afraid of it. This was an important case to me, more as a symbol of economic national security. And also, I would say, just for our country itself, so important, because we're doing so well as a country. We've never done so well. The good news is that there are methods, practices, statutes, and authorities as recognized by the entire court in this terrible decision, and also as recognized by Congress, which they refer to, that are even stronger than the IEEPA tariffs available to me as President of the United States. And in actuality, I was very modest in my ask of other countries and businesses because I wanted to do, and it's very important, I wanted to be very well behaved because I wanted to do anything, I didn't want to do anything that would affect the decision of the court, because I understand the court. I understand how they're very easily swayed. I want to be a good boy. I have very effectively utilized tariffs over the past year to make America great again. Our stock market has just recently broken 50,000 on the Dow, and simultaneously, and even more amazingly, broken 7,000 on the S&P, two numbers that everybody thought upon our landslide election victory could not be attained. Think of that. Nobody thought it was possible to do it within 4 years, and we did it in 1 year. They said, you'll never be able, you'll go back and you read the geniuses, read their statements, all of the Nobel Prize winners in economics. They said, no, you couldn't do it in 4 years. Well, we didn't do it in 4 years. We did it in 1 year. We broke every record in the book, and we're continuing to do so. Tariffs have likewise been used to end 5 of the 8 wars that I settled. I settled 8 wars, whether you like it or not, including India, Pakistan, big ones, nuclear, could have been nuclear. Prime Minister of Pakistan said yesterday at the great meeting that we had. The Peace Board. He said yesterday that President Trump could have saved 35 million lives by getting us to stop fighting. They were getting ready to do some bad things. But they've given us great national security, these tariffs have. And together with our strong borders, reduced fentanyl coming into our country by 30%. When I use them as a penalty against countries illegally sending this poison into our country to poison our youth. All of those tariffs remain. They all remain. I don't know if you know that or not. They all remain. We're still getting them, and we will after the decision. Guess there's nobody left to appeal to. But again, those three people, such respect. I've had a lot of respect for them anyway, but such great respect. But other alternatives will now be used to replace the ones that the court incorrectly rejected. We have alternatives, great alternatives. Could be more money. We'll take in more money and we'll be a lot stronger for it. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We'll continue to do so. To show you how ridiculous the opinion is, however, the court said that I'm not allowed to charge even $1. I can't charge $1. Can't charge $1. I would have used 1 penny, but we don't make the pennies anymore. We save money. Can't charge $1 to any country under IEPA. Not $1. I assume to protect other countries. This must have been done to protect those other countries, certainly not the United States of America, which they should be interested in protecting. That's what they're supposed to be protecting. But I am allowed to cut off any and all trade or business with that same country. In other words, I can destroy the trade. I can destroy the country. I'm even allowed to impose a foreign country destroying embargo. I can embargo. I can do anything I want, but I can't charge $1 because that's not what it says. And that's not the way it even reads. I can do anything I want to do to them, but I can't charge any money. So I'm allowed to destroy the country, but I can't charge them a little fee. I could give them a little two-cent fee, but I cannot charge under any circumstances. I cannot charge them anything. Think of that. How ridiculous is that? I'm allowed to embargo them. I'm allowed to tell them you can't do business in the United States anymore. We want you out of here. But if I want to charge them $10, I can't do that. It's incorrect. Their decision's incorrect. But it doesn't matter because we have very powerful alternatives that have been approved by this decision. You know, they've been approved by the decision for those that thought they had us. And they're saying that I have the absolute right to license, but not the right to charge a license fee. So think of that. I have the right to license. It's a very powerful word. In many ways, license is more powerful than tariffs. In fact, I was thinking about using it. But they came up with the idea that I can license, just like the people that were opposing me told them to do, but not the right to charge a license fee. Think of that. Who ever heard of such a thing? What license has ever been issued without the right to charge a fee? You get a license, you charge a fee. It's automatic, but not with this court. But now the court has given me the unquestioned right to ban all sorts of things from coming into our country, to destroy foreign countries, but a much more powerful right than many people ever thought we even had, but not the right to charge a fee. How crazy is that? Our country is the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. And it was a dead country 1.5 years ago under an incompetent president. But now I'm going to go in a different direction, probably the direction that I should have gone the first time, but I read the language. I'm very good at reading language, and it read our way 100%. But now I'll go the way I could have gone originally, which is even stronger than our original choice. As Justice Kavanaugh, whose stock has gone so up, you have to see, I'm so proud of him, wrote in his dissent, although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. So think of that. The decision might not substantially constrain. And it doesn't. He's right. In fact, I can charge much more than I was charging. So I'm going to just start. Although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. That's because numerous other federal statutes, which is so true, authorize the president to impose tariffs and might justify most, if not all, of the tariffs issued in this case. Even more tariffs, actually. Those statutes include, think of that, those statutes include, for example, the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, Section 232. All of these things I know so well. The Trade Act of 1974, Sections 122, 201, 301, and the Tariff Act of 1930, Section 338, all clear, but it's a little bit longer process. I thought I'd make things simple, but they didn't let us do that. I would like to thank Justice Kavanaugh for frankly, his genius and his great ability. Very proud of that appointment. In actuality, while I am sure that they did not mean to do so, the Supreme Court's decision today made a president's ability to both regulate trade and impose tariffs more powerful and more crystal clear rather than less. I don't think they meant that. I'm sure they didn't. It's terrible. And to think that the Democrats who oppose this only because they want to go the opposite way, they'd like to pack the court. They want to put on 21 people. They want to pack the court, pack the Supreme Court. Maybe they should do it. Maybe they would be better off if they did it. They want to pack the court. They want to do anything to hurt our country. There will no longer be any doubt, and the income coming in and the protection of our companies and country will actually increase because of this decision. I don't think the court meant that, but it's the way it is. Based on long-standing law and hundreds of victories, and even, as I was pointed out before, even thousands of victories over the years, to the contrary, the Supreme Court did not overrule tariffs. They merely overruled a particular use of IEEPA tariffs. And essentially, it's to use to get a fee. I can do anything I want with IEEPA, anything. I just can't charge anybody for it. I can license, I just can't charge them. It's ridiculous, but it's okay because we have other ways, numerous other ways. The ability to block, embargo, restrict, license, or impose any other condition on a foreign country's ability to conduct trade with the United States under IEEPA has been fully confirmed by this decision. So now there's no doubt, because, there were a lot of questions about tariffs because no president was smart enough to use them to protect our country from those countries and businesses that were ripping us off. You took a look at the deficits that we had with some of these countries. It was disgraceful what they got away with for many, many decades. But now we know, because this decision affirms all those things that some people weren't sure about. In order to protect, and it says so, in order to protect our country, a president can actually charge more tariffs than I was charging in the past period of a year under the various tariff authorities. So we can use other of the statutes, other of the tariff authorities, which have also been confirmed and are fully allowed. Therefore, effective immediately, all national security tariffs under Section 232 and existing Section 301 tariffs, they're existing, they're there, remain in place, fully in place, and in full force and effect. Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 over and above our normal tariffs already being charged. And we're also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices of other countries and companies. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And I say quite simply, which I've said for a long time, make America great again. And interestingly, we've already made it great, so I don't have to use that. But I don't think we'll ever give up on MAGA. MAGA is always going to be with us. If you have a few questions, you can let us know. But just to end, so we're going forward. We will be able to take in more money, and there'll no longer be doubt, because there was always doubt. I know the people that brought the lawsuit, and they're sleazebags, major sleazebags, but I know them, and they're foreign country centric. They were sending things into our country, and the people representing them knew full well, but they were sending things into our country, and they were beneficial to other countries, but very, very bad for us. And I stopped it, and we'll just keep it going. So we have a totally firm decision now. And I don't think the court meant it, because the court doesn't show great spirit toward our country, in my opinion. A lot of bad decisions, but there are usually ways around it. This is something we could have done, as Justice Kavanaugh said, we could have done this originally, but we're doing it now. And the numbers could be far greater than the hundreds of billions we've already taken in. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm very curious. You've
I didn't
spoken
call you
about.
in the red.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Justice Thomas and Alito, as you know, are the most conservative constitutional justices. Do you think that you'll get to appoint 2 more justices later this term with similar ideologies? And what type of vetting process will they go through to ensure they uphold?
I don't know, but they're great
Constitution.
justices. That's all I could say. And I hope they're going to be around a long time. I hope they're going to stay healthy. They're great people. They're great. And Justice Alito, too, to add to the group. These are great men.
Right.
With a great love of our country and a great understanding of the law.
Mr. President, are you going to ask Congress to take additional action on tariffs now?
No, I don't need to. It's already been approved. I mean, I would ask Congress and probably get it. When people look at the real numbers, and you look at hundreds of billions of dollars that have come into our country. Yesterday, I was at a steel plant, as you know, and went to great place, great plant, great, wonderful people. And they were telling me, I said to them, you were there, a lot of the press in this room. Of course, I don't think this plane's big enough to take the press in this room, but a lot of the press right here. We're in Georgia. And I said to the owner, I made a speech at a factory. They make steel products. And I said, how are you? Nice to meet you. How's business? President, I'd love to kiss you. This is a very powerful man. I don't want to be kissed by that man, but a very powerful, strong man. He's been in the steel business for many years. His father started it. And he said, sir, I want to kiss you. I said, why? He said, because we were down to working 1 hour a week. And then you came in and imposed tariffs. And all of that foreign junk that they were dropping into our country stopped. And we're now going to double shifts, 7 days a week, and we may be very soon going to 24 hours around the clock, almost 7 days a week. He said, sir, I want to kiss you so badly. And I said, no, thank you. But you know what? He just to finalize it, he said, oh, this is a great place in Georgia. He said, all up and down the highway. Same exact answer, sir. We're all going out of business. We're going to go bankrupt. We're all going out of business. And now every one of us are thriving, and we're hiring people like we haven't. He said, like I've never, and he's been in business for, I think, 45 years, like we've never hired before. That's because of tariffs. And we're going to keep it going the same way. And you're going to start to see the results in a year from now when all those factories start that are under construction right now. You see all the construction numbers are so good. Those construction workers are building factories that are going to be open, including not only AI, which is big, but car plants coming in from Canada, who ripped us off for 30% of our market. Mexico ripped us off for a big portion. Over the years, they've taken our market. They've taken our cars. They manufacture them in Japan, Germany, and all over the place because nobody's standing in this position. The position I have as president of the United States had the insight, the courage, well, I don't know what it is, to charge tariffs. You can make your product outside. You can put our people out of business. You can put everybody on the unemployment rolls. But if you're going to make a car in some other country, you're going to pay a 15, 20, 30% tariff. And those things would have never happened. We wouldn't have lost our business. Same thing with, as an example, Taiwan. Taiwan came in. They stole our chip business. They make chips for 30 years longer. They made chip, and they put our companies. Intel would be now the largest company. I saved Intel. I literally saved it at the beginning of this administration. And now all those companies in Taiwan are building factories in Arizona, Texas, and various other places because they don't want to pay tariffs. They're all pouring into the United States. But just like that great patriot said yesterday, sir, what you've done, nobody thought was possible. And Steve Moore, a highly respected economist, came into my office yesterday. He said, you've done something nobody's ever done. 22 Nobel Prize winners in economics said we would right now be in a recession. And you said, no, we're going to have a booming country. We're going to have a booming country. You were right. All 22 were wrong, and you were right. This country is booming, and it's booming because of the election on November 5th, and it's booming for another reason. It's booming because of tariffs. Yeah, please, go ahead.
What was said ahead of this
Thank you, Mr.
decision
President.
that if the Supreme
Yeah,
Court
please,
ruled?
go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. What will you say to foreign nations who seek to renegotiate their deals? And what did you mean a moment ago when you said that the Supreme Court has been swayed by foreign interests?
Well, I think that foreign interests are represented by people that I believe have undue influence. They have a lot of influence over the Supreme Court, whether it's through fear or respect or friendships. I don't know. But I know some of the people that were involved on the other side, and I don't like them. I think they're real slime balls. And got to do what's right for the country. You got to do what's right for the Constitution. That's why I respect so much Justice Thomas and Alito, Kavanaugh, because they not only dissented, their dissent is so strong. When you read their dissent, you know, a lot of times you'll read a dissent and it's like, well, you don't know, it could go either way. There's no other way. The good news is, it's like Justice Kavanaugh said, very strongly said, you have other ways you can go. You don't have to go that way. You can go other way. There are numerous other ways you can go. And frankly, this should have been done by presidents many years ago. They allowed our country to be eaten alive. We lost 50% of our car business. We used to make cars. We made all the cars. And then Mexico came, Canada came, Japan and Germany. But they're all coming back now. They're all coming back at record levels. No, you please. I'm not talking to you. I don't talk to CNN. It's fake news. Go ahead.
Mr. President, yesterday you made the case that the economy is the hottest it's been in a long time.
Right.
January jobs report beat expectations, CPI report beat expectation, real wages are up. What would you tell Americans who are worried that this decision will kind of throw the economy that you have projected going in the right direction at a very rapid pace off track?
Well, thank you for the question. And I will say this, we really are at a very important point. I've been waiting for this decision so long. They could have made this decision a long time ago. Not complex. They're wrong on it. It's a ridiculous decision, but they should have released this a long time ago. We waited months, and that gave uncertainty. Now we have certainty. And I think you're going to see the country get much stronger because of it. Look, we were ripped off by almost every country in the world. If you look at the surpluses, almost every country in the world that did business with us, our people were stupid. And I blame presidents for it because they're ultimately the leader. We were being ripped off by almost every single country in the world, had some massive surpluses. China had hundreds of billions of dollars in surpluses with the United States. They rebuilt China. They rebuilt the army. We built China's army by allowing that to happen. I have a great relationship with President Xi, but he respects our country now. Now, what we've done, I charged China a 20% tariff as a penalty for sending fentanyl in. And that was 20 times more than they could make by selling fentanyl. And I said, you know, at some point you're going to say, like, and they have reduced it. You know, fentanyl is down by more than 30% coming into our country. Part of that is a strong border. We have a strong border now. But thank you. Thank you for your question.
Mr. President, sir, you warned once in a social media post that if the Supreme Court did this, shot down your tariffs, the U.S. would be, quote, financially defenseless. Are we financially defenseless right now?
No, because we're doing something in a different way. We're doing something in a very powerful way. and we're using things that some people thought we should have used in the first place. But it's more complicated. It's a little more complicated. The process takes a little more time, but the end result is going to get us more money. And I think it's going to be great. Yeah, please. Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump. So since Liberation Day, there's about $175 billion in tariff revenue that is now in limbo. Do you have to refund $175 billion?
Think of it, Peter. Very fair question. They take months and months to write an opinion, and they don't even discuss that point. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, not millions, hundreds of billions of dollars. And so I said, well, what happens to all the money that we took in? It wasn't discussed. Wouldn't you think they would have put one sentence in there saying that keep the money or don't keep the money, right? I guess it has to get litigated for the next 2 years. So they write this terrible, defective decision, totally defective. It's almost like not written by smart people. And what they do, they don't even talk about that. Your question is very basic. That was the first question I asked also to make you feel good. They said, what about all the money that we've taken in? Sir, they don't discuss that. How crazy is that?
What you're saying is, are you saying that you don't plan to honor refunds for companies that file for them?
I just told you the answer, right? I told you the answer. It's not discussed. We'll end up being in court for the next 5 years. Go ahead, Green.
Thank you, Mr. President. When you are talking about the relationship with countries that you have sought trade deals with, do you anticipate that they will seek to renegotiate those? What do you say to them? And do you view this as a potential undermining power for your
We're going
negotiations?
straight ahead with 10% straight across the board, which was the absolute right to do. And that's taking place. That's a lot of money coming into our country. And then during that period of about 5 months, we are doing the various investigations necessary to put fair tariffs or tariffs, period, on other countries. So we're doing that period, but we're immediately instituting the 10% provision, which we're allowed to do. And in the end, I think we'll take in more money than we've taken in before.
President, you've used the tariff revenue to pay for a host of federal policies. You claim that they will pay for them. What happens?
Well, like the farmers, we took care of farmers. You know, the farmers were mistreated by foreign countries very badly, very, very badly. And last week I gave them $12 billion out of tariff money. We intend to, out of tariff money, because just so you understand, we have tariffs. We just have them in a different way. And now they've been confirmed by the Supreme Court of the United States. So there's no longer that question out there about tariffs. And we'll be taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. And countries that have treated us badly will have to pay a price for treating us badly. And countries that have been good to us will be treated very well. We just left the top person in a place called Vietnam, just left my office. Great gentleman, strong and smart. He said, you know, I think this means you're allowed to charge us more tariffs than before. And Canada said to Jameson, I might want to say it, Jameson, but Canada said, I hope you win this decision, because if you don't win, you'll actually be allowed to charge us with a little additional work, higher tariffs. Jameson, you want to comment on that?
Yes, sir. So to the president's point, we have a lot of tools out there. We have Section 122, which will be implemented today, will be signed today and implemented very shortly. We have Section 301 investigations, which are incredibly legally durable, where we can investigate and address unfair trading practices that have led to our huge trade deficit. And so you can look forward in the coming days and weeks to seeing all of that come out, and we're going to keep continuity in the program. We're going to keep addressing this so that the deficit can keep going down. That's the trend it has, and we can make America great again.
No.
Several of Republicans in Congress have supported this decision by the Supreme Court. And Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, has called you a wannabe king. Why wouldn't
him a low IQ?
But why wouldn't
he doesn't even know? And I watched him the other day interview. The guy doesn't even know what a tariff is.
There's been bipartisan criticism.
No, not
of the
bipartisan.
tariff.
Excuse me.
There's several
A few
Republicans
people.
have said that.
Yeah,
But
a
why
few people.
wouldn't you just work with Congress to come up with a plan?
I don't have to.
To push tariffs.
I have the
through?
right to do tariffs, and I've always had the right to do tariffs. And it's all been approved by Congress, so there's no reason to do it. all we're doing is we're going through a little bit more complicated process, not complicated very much, but a little more complicated than what we had. We'll be able to take in tariffs, more tariffs. And the Congress people and the
Voted down
Congress.
the Canadian tariffs last week.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
been votes
you
in
know
the
why?
Senate against it.
Yeah, because we lost 2 Republicans or 3 Republicans because they're not good Republicans. What you don't say, you don't say that we got 215 votes.
You need 218 for something to pass.
Yeah, sure we do. We might have lost 3 votes, and what was the score on the Republican side? 215 to 3, right? But you don't say that. We have great unity. There's great unity in the Republican Party, and I hope everyone's going to vote Republican, because otherwise you won't have a country left, because these people have been they are destroying our country. Please.
Mr. President, the 122 tariffs, that 10%,
Yeah.
is that going to be for 150 days, or do you want to charge that indefinitely?
We have a right to do pretty much what we want to do, but we're going to charge it starting effectively. I think it's 3 days from now. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, you speak to a lot of factory workers, a lot of manufacturing workers. What does the Supreme Court ruling say? What's that message to those factory workers?
Well, I think the factory workers are happy because we're now telling them that they're going to look. The man I met with yesterday who owned a factory was out of business. He was out of business. And now he's employing 5 times. In fact, I walked in, he's got a brand new crane. I said, how old is that crane? We got it in December. He's allowed to write it off in 1 minute. The great big beautiful act gave no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. He said this great big beautiful bill, frankly, has been the best thing that's ever happened for the workers much more so than for rich people. The only thing it does for rich people, it allows them to hire a lot more people. But when I saw him, and then he said, it's all up and down the line. This is a place in Georgia, all up and down, other factories doing different, not only steel products, different. He said, every one of us was out of business. We could barely make it. Some of them were down to less than an hour a week. Think of it, 1 hour a week to make just a few little trinkets or whatever they make. Now they're going round the clock. I had it a month ago. I went to Michigan, went to Ford, and I met with Bill Ford, the head of Ford. And we were in one of the biggest plants, an original plant from the early 1900s, where, by the way, I might add this, it's not really relevant, but it's all relevant. Murders are down the lowest since 1900, around the time that he had this plant. That's 125 years. We have the lowest murder rate. Okay. And our crime is way down in the country. The factories that we're talking about, the people that we're talking about, they are so thrilled with Trump. So whether we charge IEEPA tariffs or whether we charge tariffs under a different section, that's what we're going to be doing. There's no way we can this is what happened to our country. This is why we owe $38 trillion, which we'll get rid of in pretty good course. We have a very incompetent Fed chairman who likes high interest rates. For political reasons, he likes them. But we're going to have somebody very good. Interest rates should come down very substantially. I think we should pay the lowest interest rates on the planet. There should be no country, and we don't do that. We're number 38. This is just bad policy for a long period of time. But what's happened is we've made America strong again. We've made America great again. We should pay. As an example, the country of Switzerland, we were getting almost no tariffs from them. We had a $40 billion deficit. And the prime minister called me up. She said, but we are a small country, because I said we're going to raise it to 39% from nothing. That would have rendered them not very successful, as opposed to right now, they're considered elite. But if we put a tariff, it would, and I realized then, she said, but sir, we are a small country. I said, you're a small country with a big deficit. For us, you're making a lot of money off the United States. If we do that, a lot of these elite countries, they're elite because we let them make so much money. And I want them to do well, but I don't want them to do well on the backs of the American taxpayer. So I appreciate your question. I think it's reasonable answer.
President Trump, you said that you were disappointed with that, but were you surprised with this decision? What you felt when you?
I was surprised because I thought that what we did was, number one, according to, I read the paragraphs. I read very well. Great comprehension. I read everything there is to read, and I said, we can't lose this case. But we can when judges are political, when they want to be politically correct, when they're catering to a group of people in DC, maybe. I don't know what it is, because when you read it, there's no other interpretation. There is no other interpretation. But it's okay, because what has come out, and I'll say it for the third time and maybe the last time in a while, is that we've taken the uncertainty of tariffs out, because we had uncertainty. We got sued by sleazebags, I know them well, that are very outside country, China-centric, but outside country-centric. And they're going to end up not doing as well as they did before. America was becoming really, we're strong again. Hey, we have the strongest military. I rebuilt the military in the first term. We have the most powerful military. We make the best equipment. And even them, we could do much better. We have people that get paid a lot of money to manufacture Patriot missiles and javelins and all the different things. But when you want them, they're too slow. And we put them on notice, and they're going to make, our country is building a lot of things right now, and our country is doing really well. And we're going to keep it that way. The bottom line is that the word certainty is now in the equation. Every single thing I said today is guaranteed certainty. It's been tested, as Jameson said 1,000 times. Literally, I said hundreds of times. He said, sir, actually thousands of times, and won in all of the courts. And we're just going back to that. And the problem is that we had other presidents that weren't into trade. Maybe they weren't business oriented. Maybe they weren't smart. We had some dummies too, I respectfully say we had some real dummies. So we are going to keep it going just as before, probably more so. But you're no longer going to be asked, every time I got up, you'd ask, well, what happens if you can't charge tariffs? Now we can. And by the way, in their decision, they specifically said, we can do these. We have alternatives. Yeah.
David, on the trade deals that were negotiated using IEEPA tariffs, do those stand now, or are they have to be redone?
Some of them stand. Many of them stand. Some of them won't, and they'll be replaced with the other tariffs.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court justices who ruled against this the policy, striking it down, are they still invited to your State of the Union next week? And will you speak with them?
They are invited, barely. 3 are happily invited. No, they're barely invited. Honestly, I couldn't care less if they come. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the trade deal, which is the framework, which is to be signed with India sometime soon, will that stand now? And on the decision, nothing changes.
No, nothing changes. They'll be paying tariffs, and we will not be paying tariffs. Our deal with India is they pay tariffs. This is a reversal from what it used to be, as you know. India, and I think Prime Minister Modi is a great gentleman, a great man, actually, but he was much smarter than the people that he was against in terms of the United States. He was ripping us off in India. So we made a deal with India, and it's a fair deal now, and we are not paying tariffs to them, and they are paying tariffs. We did a little flip.
Are up as of now for this.
No, the India deal is on here.
So much, Mr. President.
All the deals are on. We're just going to do it a different way.
Mr. President. Thank you so much, Mr. President. I think there's another war that you stopped and you should take the credit, which is in Syria. Secretary Rubio, after his meeting in Munich with the Syrian Foreign Minister and the Kurdish General Muslim Abdi, he said that President Trump was directly involved in efforts to stop the fighting between the Kurds and the Syrians. How will your administration will make sure that this peace is sustained? And do you support the idea?
Well, it's a very different topic, and so I don't want to spend a lot of time. But all I can say is that the president of Syria, who I essentially put there, is doing a phenomenal job. He's a rough guy. He's not a choir boy. A choir boy couldn't do it. But Syria is coming together, really coming together well. And thus far, he's been very good to the Kurds. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President, what's your message to the Iranian people after 2 rounds of talks with them? Do you have any message to the Iranian people?
The Iranian people in Iran or people here?
People in Iran.
They better negotiate a fair deal. They better negotiate. You know, the people of Iran are a lot different than the leaders of Iran. And it's very, very, very sad situation. But 32,000 people were killed over a relatively short period of time. They were going to hang 800, 2 weeks ago, hang, some by crane. They lift them up with a tall crane and they play them around the square. They were going to hang 837 people. And I gave them the word, if you hang one person, even one person, that you're going to be hit right then and there. I wasn't waiting 2 weeks and negotiating. And they gave up the hanging. They didn't hang 837. Supposedly they didn't hang anybody. But no, I feel very badly for the people of Iran. They've lived in hell. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned multiple times foreign influence over the Supreme Court. Do you have evidence of that? And if not, will you investigate that?
You're going to find out.
What alternatives are you going to put into place in your relationship with Europe and also those tariffs that have been called illegal? How they're going to go impact the relationship with Russia, that you sanctions?
Well, I want Europe to strengthen up. Europe has gone woke. Europe is not recognizable when you go into so many places. Not all countries. You look at Hungary. You look at Poland, Czech, Slovakia. There are some countries that have gone very much the opposite. Some really, and some others. But Europe has to be strong, and they become soft and not recognizable. You go into some of the countries, I don't want to be specific, but I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. And they're not recognizable. They become, the environmentalists have taken over. They've got windmills destroying their fields and their beautiful meadows and their oceans, and they're paying a fortune. Now, Europe has to get smart. Europe's getting killed on two things, energy and immigration. And if they don't solve both of them fast, Europe is not the same place. Yeah, please.
Justices Gorsuch and Barrett, are you surprised in particular by their decision today?
I
And
am.
do you regret nominating them?
I don't want to say whether or not I regret. I think their decision was terrible. Yeah. I think it's an embarrassment to their families. You want to know the truth? The two of them. Yeah.
Specifically on that
Say it again,
$2,000
please.
tariff check.
Mr. President,
I didn't call you.
You didn't call me?
Yeah, Mr. President, to be clear, do you believe at the end of implementing these new tariff tools, the tariff rate and tariffs will ultimately be higher than they currently are?
Potentially higher. It depends, whatever we want them to be. But we want them to be fair for other countries. And, you know, we have some countries that have treated us really badly for years, and it's going to be high for them. And we have other countries that have been very good, and it's going to be very reasonable for them. Yeah.
Specifically on the tariffs question, I mean, on the $2,000.
I didn't call you.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. Do you have any plans to travel to India for the Quad Summit, and how do you think your relationship with India is right now?
I think my relationship with India is fantastic. And we're doing trade with India. India pulled out of Russia. You know, India was getting its oil from Russia, right? And they pull way back at my request because we want to settle that horrible war where 25,000 people are dying every month. And my relationship with Prime Minister Modi is, I would say, great. I also stopped the war between India and Pakistan, as you know. There were 10 planes we shot down. That war was going and probably going nuclear. And just yesterday, the Prime Minister of Pakistan said President Trump saved 35 million lives by getting them to stop. That's and I did it largely with tariffs. I said, look, you're going to fight, that's fine, but you're not going to do business with the United States, and you're going to pay a 200% tariff each country. And they called up and they said, we have made peace. Okay. I just want to thank you all. Look, great certainty has been brought back to the economy of the United States and actually the economy of the world, because we generate so much in the world. We're the biggest in the world, and we're now the strongest by far. We were a country that was dead 1.5 years ago. Now we have the hottest country in the world. We're going to keep it that way. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay. Actually, I probably should have came in a little quieter than that. Adjust your headphones. Adjust the headphones. Hopefully everyone is doing okay. The chat can be a little bit divided, and I understand that. 50% of the people voted one way, the other 50% voted the other way. But let's try to keep things respectful. Yeah, we're listening to try to find out how this is going to affect markets, and hopefully that is what we share in common. Is that we're trying to see where the SPY is going to go on this news. Okay. That being said, to quickly touch on some things that I ended up picking up there. He said a few things, that he could destroy all the trade that he possibly wanted, but can't charge a single dollar there. And that the ability to impose tariffs now have actually become more easier or become easier and even more crystal clear. I don't know how that's essentially the case, but regardless, he can impose under Section 122 a broad-based, has to hit everyone, up to a 15% tariff. Looks like he actually went with a 10% tariff. This act is the Trade Act of 1974, often called the Balance of Payments Authority, where the president can unilaterally impose tariffs without needing prior formal investigation. Now, there is an authority cap of a timeline of 150 days. However, there's two ways that they can go around this. One is obviously a congressional extension. If the tariffs, can remain in place essentially indefinitely if they end up going to get congressional approval. However, there's also some talk that I was just looking up online where there's essentially a loophole with a revoke and reimpose rule, where legal analysts have noted that a president could theoretically revoke the 120-day deadline and then immediately issue a new proclamation to start a fresh 150-day clock. Doesn't seem to actually be anything written to stop that type of narrative. So right now, it's a 10% tariff. The only thing that confused me a little bit was the comments that he said that some tariffs will still stand and that this will be a 10% on top of the other additional tariffs. I don't know which ones have been, taken down versus not. This is not a political show. I'm no legal expert. I'm not even American. I'm a Canadian trying to follow the U.S. markets. So do your own due diligence. However, the markets actually reacted quite well on this news. Remember that this press release, although it should have been starting on 12:45, actually started roughly about 30 or some odd minutes even after that. So initially, whenever Trump walked on, the markets ended up falling. We ended up getting clarity on what his ruling was going to be, and then this increased the market's SPY, and the QQQs actually went up. Okay? So, yeah. Let's see. Sector specific remains still intact. I see. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the chances that a Fed rate cut actually comes in now. And we'll watch this closely because it's going to change very quickly. But essentially what we're seeing is a 4% chance of a rate cut on the next meeting, which is March 18th. Okay, 96% chance of no rate cut change. By the April meet, April 29th, we still have an 82.1% chance of no rate cuts, 18% chance of an ease. And then by June, this is where we start to really see some potential chance of rate cuts coming in now at 53.8% chance of a cut, with some potential, a little bit around 8%, for roughly 50 basis point cuts coming by the June meeting. Okay, which we're still, 4+ months away from. All right. So that took up most of my time, definitely a longer meeting than what I initially thought that it was going to, be, but that's perfectly fine. I still wanted to touch on Google potentially looking to use their own TPUs and they're actually talking about potentially like starting their own business to sell these products externally. Where was the exact report? Where did that go? Oh gosh, I need to go find it again. But essentially, they want to invest in companies like Fluid Stack, and we're talking to Cipher Mining and many of these other neo clouds to sell the Google Tensor Processing units directly to other cloud infrastructure businesses. That could be very interesting. Maybe put a little bit of pressure on a name like NVIDIA. However, NVIDIA is still green on the day, up 1%. There's actually only one company in the Mag 7 that's actually red right now, and it's Microsoft. It's still under $400 per share. Tesla's green. Google is up on that initial cloud news, up 3.77%. We will keep an eye on that. Someone said red candles are starting. I wouldn't worry too much. It doesn't look like anything drastic is starting just yet. On top of that, we ended up getting news that NVIDIA is potentially looking to invest $30 billion into OpenAI, and that they will not be investing upwards of $100 billion, and that it's going to end essentially the old comments of them investing $10 billion per 1 gigawatt data center up to 10 gigawatts, up to $100 billion of investment. That sort of is being brushed away, and it's being replaced with a one-time investment, lump sum, $30 billion into OpenAI at, I think, a what was it, $850 billion post-money valuation. So that's quite interesting. Any SoFi news? Not too much. Not that would bring the company down. What we did end up seeing is that Wyndham Hotels, one of their companies that they work for through Galileo, ended up having their earnings. In the earnings call, they specifically call out how their debit card program is doing better than expected. And in fact, they're getting ready to now start selling not just in the United States, but in Canada as well. Meaning, the program with Galileo is expanding. It's going into multiple countries. And they even said, look out into future further expansion where Galileo might even bring Wyndham into Europe, or vice versa. So good expansion on the Galileo platform there, even though it has not done super well recently. But yeah. Maybe members only chat during the politically involved live streams. I mean, personally for me, the chats don't bug me. But I do think the mods, guys, you also need to be, try to take a step back from your own personal opinions in chat. Okay? Just make sure that people aren't saying hateful comments, racist comments, these sort of things. But whether or not people pick a side or something like this, that shouldn't be anti what I want going in the chat. Just respectful. Okay. Tanner, market close? No. In fact, I actually want to state, I said it earlier, but there was only about 500 people watching or so. The midday live streams, I think I'm going to take a week off. Could be longer. But I want to focus more on produced videos that are actually going out. The member only streams, like for Future Investing Pro users, are still going to happen every day. But I just want to focus more on, other content. By the way, I have a huge update for the Future Investing Pro members. So if you guys know, we partnered with Fiscal AI to get you guys a free year of Fiscal AI Pro. I also got that exact same deal for Fiscal AI Max. So they are going to give me the same deal. So essentially, I can offer Fiscal AI Max subscriptions. It doesn't mean that they're included right now. I need to update it a little bit. It'll be a tad bit more expensive, but roughly, I I think it'll be like $200 more to bring essentially a $960 a year subscription. Like it'll be at cost for what I'm paying to get you guys that subscription. So unreal. Super excited to do that. Yeah, fiscal maxing, yeah. But it'll be both the pro version if you guys want that, and then if you want the max version, it'll be slightly more expensive, but still, I think the entire thing will be less than just buying Fiscal AI Max. Like you get the live streams, that like all the stuff, including the subscription, 50% off forever, like all that stuff. It'll be the best offer. I'm gonna like legitimately make this offer so good that people will feel dumb to have passed up on it. I can promise you guys that. What does Fiscal Max do? It's all the just longer amounts of data sets, the ability to export the data, listen to all the lives or all the transcripts and calls. It's whenever I use Fiscal AI, it's what you see is what you get. Okay. A day without Tanner is like a day without maple syrup. I mean, honestly, I'm going to try to get a video out every day. A video out every day. Yeah. So I've got stuff that I want to cover for NVIDIA, for Meta, for all that sort of stuff. Okay. Let's go on, move on to the next topic here, which, I mean, I don't even know if Google is just making some larger advancements. We saw the Gemini 3.1 Pro subscription that they ended up pushing out to Google Cloud. Many of the businesses that you could potentially use, like either Zapier or Base 44 or Cursor, already have access to this. So if you guys are, using a lot of those AI-enabled tools, you'll now have the newest strong models for Google, which really did a focus on coding and AI agents, which is going to have a continued focus. Now, I think that this is going to drive up capital expenditure use. I think that this is proven by the amount of demand that we're seeing on things like Base 44 and OpenClaw. If you guys aren't in this space following very closely, the explosion of use cases on OpenClaw is driving, I mean, legitimately billions of dollars to names like Anthropic and potentially ChatGPT, considering that they just made the acqui-hire of Peter Steinberger, the founder of OpenClaw. These are the worst that the models are going to be. This is going to drive a lot of more use for things like compute. We have not found a DeepSeek 2.0 where the cost per token is greatly falling, but yet the needs for tokens is greatly rising. So we're in this weird sort of break right now of NVIDIA chips being needed even more. And yeah, I mean, they're going to be selling it. We also saw Semi-Analysis, the sort of gold standard on, who's in the lead right now for selling chips. Once again, ended up stating that they're seeing in their Inference X data tests that best performance is driving the lowest inference costs. And that, once again, was the GB300 NVL72, which is the, creme de la creme of NVIDIA's latest product, the or what might be more known as the Grace Blackwell Ultra NVL72, which is 72 of their GPUs all in one rack system. Control your triggered mods. I'm seeing a lot of these comments, but I'm not actually knowing what you guys are talking about. I'm not like... just be chill. Everyone be chill. Okay. A report just came out and said CoreWeave CEO told CNBC that the data center in question is fully funded, financed, and on schedule. Oh, there was a comment that ended up bringing down CoreWeave. Hold on here. So the reason why CoreWeave is down and why you're going to see a reversal in their stock price right now is that I guess Blue Owl and CoreWeave had a report come out saying that they're going to see some ties or some slowdown on funding for a new data center, which now they're starting to do public reports saying that this is completely false. And this is actually dragging down a bunch of their peers. Nebius, I bet Iren, if I had to check, was also down. Yeah, Cypher Mining, also down. But this report is also already being reported as fake news. So hopefully we see a turnaround on some of these names. Nebius down 7.4%. Yeah, the same thing that's been happening to so many of these companies. People are, I swear, the market is so trigger happy. They cannot wait for a report to come out to say that all this AI stuff is completely fake. Like, people want a reason to sell Nebius, CoreWeave, NVIDIA. They're dying for a reason for someone to say that all this AI stuff is overspent. I don't know if we are, like, if we actually can be in a bubble, if everyone is calling for this bubble. It's like one of the signs that we're not in a bubble is that everyone's calling for it. You know? Okay. Let's go ahead and see CNBC. Maybe we can get this report from CoreWeave. Where was this? Tom Lee was just on saying stocks will become bifurcated because of their impact on tariffs. This was before before Trump was even on. Okay, so let's go have a listen to this, see what Tom Lee had to say.
Janzik and Steve Leisman. Let's talk a little bit more about the impact on the markets today. Tom Lee is Fundstrat's head of research and a CNBC contributor. Tom, it's great to have you here. Just offer your reaction as far as like the investment case is to be made here. What's the impact of the Supreme Court moving to strike down the bulk of these tariffs now?
Well, I think investors are, one, generally relieved. I know it adds some uncertainty, but I think that they might actually also breathe a sigh of relief that it's kind of putting limits on executive powers. I also think stocks are going to start to be bifurcated on what stocks are sort of unaffected by these tariffs versus those that have some either positive but uncertain timing of when that happens. I kind of think this is going to help revive the technology, software, and even the crypto trade, because those groups have been largely shielded from the original tariff impacts, and they're not going to have any clouds of them over the unwind or the Supreme Court ruling.
Well, they could use a reminder of their positive attributes, Tom, after the start to the year that we've had. I have to imagine you sit there, and I know we can all sing the praises of these sectors, but you look at the trading activity. Does it not make you want to jump into a Deere and a Caterpillar and materials and a Freeport? I mean, in all of these sectors, and see how much juice might be left in this trade, and maybe it's a couple of years worth. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, energy and basic materials have been our top sector pick for this year, and we like industrials. And there's so many good fundamental reasons to sort of favor, as you've been calling, like real world companies. And I think that there is still a lot of legs to that, because we know that there is an investment spending cycle coming. But I also think we're kind of in the later stages of that decline for software, which has really had a waterfall decline, and for the Mag 7, which are seen as the armies of the AI trade, not the bullet makers. So I think that that's going to provide a lot of support for the overall index, because if Mag 7 and the software stocks stabilize, it allows the market to trade higher.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think, to back up for a second, part of what's supported the market the last couple of years is not just AI. It's actually just been rates coming down. And maybe the bigger story in some ways is you get a 3% inflation print. a Fed that might be a coin flip for lowering. And I'm curious how important it is to the markets, to everything we're talking about, that they continue to lower rates.
I think it's a big deal because, as you point out, from 2022 to last year, the Fed is trying to establish inflation credibility and fight inflation. So even as they cut rates, it's really been a hawkish Fed. Now that I think tariffs could reduce headline inflation and goods inflation, and we have a job market that is kind of softening and inflation cooling, I think it does allow a dovish Fed to happen. And I think with the Supreme Court ruling, it may even be a Fed that actually has a better ability to cut rates. So I think it would be positive.
Yeah. Do you think they're doing the president a favor in a weird way?
Yes, again, I'm not a policy expert, but I think as you think about midterms and the idea that there is some potential price relief coming, it might actually be helpful for the administration.
Yeah, the affordability crisis that we hear so much about and talk so much about. Tom, thanks so much for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So it's already 2:30. I'm going to get going, but look out for some videos for me. Like I said, the live streams will not, the main middle of the day live streams are not going to happen. We will still be live for things like NVIDIA earnings, stuff like this, like specific events. But yeah, I'm going to look to make more videos and stuff like this and focus on the actual deep dive type stuff. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you guys all so much for watching this live. Hope you guys enjoyed a shorter week, and until next time, bye for now.